Capricorn, August 14th, 2026 may begin with a feeling that something in your life is no longer willing to remain hidden. You may not receive a dramatic announcement. You may not wake up knowing exactly what is about to change. Instead, it could begin with a conversation, a message, a financial realization, career opportunity, a change in someone's behavior, or simply a thought that refuses to leave your mind. And that thought may be, I cannot continue doing everything the same way. The energy around August 14th is particularly significant because Mars has recently entered Cancer, bringing more emotional intensity into relationships and one-to-one interactions, while the strong Leo emphasis continues to highlight deeper matters involving trust, shared resources, transformation, and long-term security. At the same time, the August 12th total solar eclipse has just opened a broader period of change and reflection, making the days immediately afterward feel less like ordinary days and more like the beginning of a new chapter. Capricorn, this is a day to pay attention, because something may be showing you where your life needs to become more honest. Before we go deeper, if you are a Capricorn, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stay until the end, because there is an important message here about your career, finances, love life, relationships, family, and one decision that may quietly influence the direction of your future. Let's begin with your career. Capricorn, you have probably spent a great deal of time building your professional life carefully. You don't usually want shortcuts. You want something stable, something respectable, something that can survive difficult seasons. And that is one of your greatest strengths. But August 14th may make you question whether the structure you built still fits the person you have become. You may have achieved something you once desperately wanted. Position, a title, a certain level of income, recognition, responsibility, security. And yet, somewhere inside, you may be asking, is this enough? That doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means your ambitions are evolving. The Leo emphasis can bring stronger attention to professional visibility, authority, reputation, and the question of what kind of success actually matters to you. You may be ready for something bigger, but bigger doesn't necessarily mean more money. Could mean more freedom, more influence, more creativity, more control over your time, or work that gives you a stronger sense of purpose. A conversation with a supervisor could become important. Someone may ask you to take on a responsibility you didn't expect. A new project could appear. A business contact may introduce you to an opportunity. Or you may receive information about a position that initially seems too ambitious. Don't automatically reject it. You don't have to accept immediately, but investigate. Ask questions. Find out what is actually possible. Sometimes Capricorn's greatest obstacle isn't lack of ability. It is assuming that the opportunity is too large before even trying. You've already climbed difficult mountains. Don't convince yourself that the next one is impossible simply because you can't see the entire path. If you're searching for a new job, August 14th can encourage you to look beyond your usual strategy. Maybe you've been applying everywhere without changing your approach. Perhaps it is time to improve your presentation. Update your resume. Expand your network. Contact someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Ask for advice. Explore a field you previously ignored. One conversation could lead to another. One recommendation could open a door. And one door could change your professional direction. If you're running a business, don't become obsessed with doing everything yourself. Capricorn often believes that if you want something done correctly, you have to carry the entire burden personally. But growth requires delegation. It requires systems. It requires trusting the right people. You cannot build a larger future with the same amount of energy if you insist on doing every single task alone. At some point, leadership means learning what you should stop doing. Now let's talk about money. This may be one of the most important areas of August 14th. Capricorn, financial security matters deeply to you. You don't necessarily need luxury. You need certainty. You want to know that your bills are covered, that your future is protected, that unexpected problems won't completely destroy your plans, and that desire can become stronger now. Mars in Cancer can intensify concerns around emotional and domestic security, while the broader astrological atmosphere encourages deeper reflection about resources and priorities. You may begin thinking about savings, property, family expenses, debt, investments, business costs, or an additional income source. There may be a financial opportunity around you, but don't rush. Capricorn, your best financial decisions usually come from patience. If someone pressures you to decide immediately, step back. If an investment sounds too easy, investigate. If someone promises quick wealth, ask questions. If you don't understand where the money is going, don't put your money there. And if you receive unexpected income, don't immediately spend it simply because you finally have breathing room. Use part of it to create more breathing room. One of the most powerful things you can do financially is make your future self feel safer. Save something. Pay something down. Build something. Invest in a skill. Create another income stream. Small decisions can become enormous over time. You may also discover that something you already know how to do could become financially valuable. A skill you've always considered ordinary may actually be useful to someone else. Writing, management, organization, technology, teaching, consulting, communication, problem solving. Your experience has value. Don't assume that because something comes naturally to you, it has no worth. Sometimes the skill you barely notice is the one other people would gladly pay for. Now, Capricorn, let's move into love. This is where the day may become much more emotionally intense. Mars in Cancer can bring stronger feelings into partnerships and close relationships. You may find yourself thinking more deeply about commitment, trust, security, loyalty, emotional support, and the future. If you're already in a relationship, you may reach a point where pretending everything is fine no longer works. Maybe there is a conversation you've been postponing. Maybe you've been disappointed by something your partner did. Maybe you feel that you give more than you receive. Maybe you want greater emotional closeness. Or maybe you simply want reassurance that the two of you are moving toward the same future. Don't keep everything inside. Capricorn, you are strong. But strength doesn't mean silence. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, "This matters to me." Your partner doesn't need a perfect explanation. They need honesty. If the relationship is healthy, a difficult conversation can actually make it stronger. You may finally discuss something you've both avoided. Money, family, living arrangements, commitment, long-term goals, the future. And once those words are spoken, you may realize that the fear of the conversation was greater than the conversation itself. But if the relationship has been unstable for a long time, August 14th may reveal that too. And that can be painful. But clarity is still better than living inside uncertainty. If you're single, Capricorn, don't assume love has to arrive dramatically. It may begin quietly. Someone you work with, someone introduced through a friend, someone connected to your professional environment, someone you meet while handling an ordinary responsibility. The connection may not immediately feel overwhelming. In fact, it may feel calm. And that is worth noticing. You may be entering a stage where emotional stability becomes more attractive than emotional chaos. You don't need someone who keeps you guessing. You need someone whose actions make you feel secure. Someone who communicates. Someone who respects your boundaries. Someone who doesn't disappear when things become serious. And someone who understands that love is not only chemistry. It is consistency. If someone from your past returns, don't automatically assume the universe is telling you to reunite. Ask, what has actually changed? Not what they promise. Not what you remember. What has changed? If the answer is nothing, you already know the lesson. If both people have genuinely matured, perhaps a new conversation is possible. But don't reopen an old door simply because you're lonely. Now let's talk about something deeper. Capricorn, there may be an emotional burden you've been carrying for a long time. You may be the person everyone depends on. The responsible one. The reliable one. The person who gets things done. The one who stays calm when everyone else is panicking. But who takes care of you? That is the question August 14th may quietly place in front of you. You cannot always be the mountain everyone leans against. Even mountains experience erosion. Even strong people need somewhere to rest. You may have spent months or years telling yourself, I'll deal with it later. Later when work becomes easier. Later when finances improve. Later when the family situation settles. Later when you have more time. But eventually later becomes a habit. And your emotional needs remain unfinished business. This day encourages you to stop postponing yourself. Rest. Sleep. Take a walk. Turn off your phone. Spend time with someone who makes you feel safe. Or simply sit alone without needing to solve anything. Your worth does not disappear when you're not being productive. That may be difficult for Capricorn to remember. But it is true. Now let's talk about family. Mars in Cancer can make family matters more emotionally charged and can heighten protective instincts around home and loved ones. You may feel responsible for someone. A family member may need help. Someone may come to you with a financial problem. Or an old family disagreement may return. Don't immediately become the fixer. Listen first. Ask what they actually need. Sometimes people don't need you to solve the problem. They need you to stand beside them. And if someone tries to make you responsible for their choices, remember, you can love someone without carrying their entire life. Boundaries are not rejection. Boundaries are instructions for how people can remain close without hurting each other. If there is tension at home, avoid turning the situation into a competition. You don't need to prove that you're right. You need to find out whether peace is possible. And if peace isn't possible, you may need distance. That doesn't make you cruel. Sometimes distance is what allows people to stop hurting each other. Now let's talk about friendships and your social circle. Capricorn, your circle may be changing. You may notice that certain friendships no longer feel natural. Maybe you have less patience for gossip, less interest in superficial conversations, less desire to explain yourself, and more desire for meaningful connections. That's okay. You are not required to maintain every relationship simply because you've known someone for a long time. Some people belong to your past. Others belong to your future. The difference becomes clearer when you stop judging relationships by history alone. Ask, how do I feel after spending time with this person? Do you feel inspired, supported, peaceful, or exhausted? Your body often knows before your mind admits it. You may also meet someone new who becomes unexpectedly important. Could be a professional connection, a mentor, a friend, collaborator, or someone with romantic potential. Don't underestimate people who enter your life quietly. Not every important relationship begins with fireworks. Some begin with one ordinary conversation. Now let's talk about your psychological energy. Capricorn, your mind may be extremely active. You may be thinking about everything that could go wrong. What if the career opportunity fails? What if the money isn't enough? What if the relationship doesn't work? What if you make the wrong decision? But here's something important. Planning is useful. Fear is not planning. You can prepare without catastrophizing. You can consider risks without assuming disaster. You can be cautious without becoming paralyzed. The recent eclipse period may also amplify feelings that old structures and patterns are changing, making it especially important to distinguish genuine insight from temporary anxiety. If your mind keeps returning to the same question, write it down. Then write the facts, not fears. Facts. What do you actually know? What don't you know? What can you control? What needs more information? This simple process can transform anxiety into strategy. And strategy is where Capricorn becomes powerful. Now let's look at August 14th itself. The morning can be useful for practical decisions. Handle money. Organize your schedule. Respond to important messages. Make career calls. Review documents. Finish something you've been postponing. Don't start the day by worrying about everything that could happen. Start by controlling what you can actually do. The middle of the day may bring an emotional conversation. Someone may ask you to explain yourself. Partner may bring up a sensitive topic. A family member may need support. Or someone at work may challenge your plans. Don't react defensively. Take a breath. Listen. You don't have to answer immediately. Sometimes a pause is more powerful than a perfect sentence. The evening may become quieter. You may want to withdraw from noise. You may think about your future. You may reflect on a relationship. You may review your finances. Or you may simply realize how tired you've been. Let yourself rest. You don't need to make every important decision in one day. Some answers become clearer after sleep. And Capricorn, there is something especially important about the timing of this day. The August 12th total solar eclipse has just occurred, creating a broader period of transition and renewal. You are therefore not simply experiencing August 14th in isolation. You are moving through a larger period where old assumptions can be questioned. And perhaps one of those assumptions is, I have to handle everything alone. You don't. You can ask for help. You can delegate. You can tell someone you're tired. You can admit you don't know. You can let someone care for you. And you can still be strong. Strength doesn't disappear when you accept support. It becomes more sustainable. Now, Capricorn, there may also be a career opportunity that initially makes you uncomfortable. Perhaps someone wants you to step into a more visible role. Maybe you have to speak publicly, lead a team, present an idea, negotiate, take responsibility, or make a decision that affects other people. Don't automatically step back because you're afraid of making a mistake. You have more experience than you realize. Preparation will help. Practice. Research. Ask questions. Then step forward. You don't need to know everything. You need to be willing to learn. And if someone doubts you, let your results answer. Now let's talk about a deeper financial message. Your relationship with money may be changing. Maybe you used to measure success by how much you could earn. Now you may be measuring it by how much freedom your money gives you. That is a major evolution. Money should not only create status. It should create choices. The choice to leave a toxic job. The choice to help your family. The choice to rest. The choice to move. The choice to pursue something meaningful. The choice to say no. That is financial freedom. And August 14th may encourage you to build toward it. Don't chase money simply to prove something. Build money so your life becomes more flexible. Now, Capricorn, let's return to love for one final important message. You may have become very good at protecting yourself. Maybe too good. You may analyze people before trusting them. Watch their behavior. Look for contradictions. Wait for disappointment. And while this protects you from some pain, it can also prevent genuine intimacy. You don't need to trust everyone. But don't punish a new person for what an old person did. Give people the opportunity to show you who they are. Slowly. Carefully. But openly. If love arrives, don't demand certainty on day one. Let consistency build it. Trust is not a switch. It is a staircase. One honest conversation. One kept promise. One difficult moment handled with respect. One day at a time. That is how something real develops. Capricorn, there is another warning for August 14th. Do not stay in a situation simply because you have already invested so much in it. You may think, I've spent years here. I've given so much. I can't start over. But your past investment does not obligate your future. If something no longer works, you are allowed to change direction. You didn't waste those years. You learned from them. You gained skills. You developed resilience. You discovered what you don't want. And now you can use that knowledge differently. Starting again isn't always starting from zero. Sometimes you're starting from experience. And that is a completely different position. As this day unfolds, you may feel something inside you becoming clearer. You may stop trying to control every outcome. You may stop carrying everyone else's expectations. You may stop postponing your happiness. You may begin choosing based on what is sustainable rather than what looks impressive. That is maturity. Not becoming colder. Becoming more selective. Not becoming less ambitious. Becoming more intentional. Not becoming less responsible. Learning that responsibility also includes responsibility for yourself. Capricorn, you have spent a long time building. Now you are being asked to build differently. Build a career that doesn't consume your entire identity. Build finances that create freedom. Build relationships where you don't have to hide your feelings. Build friendships where you don't have to prove your worth. Build a home where your nervous system can finally relax. Build a future that belongs to you. And if something has to be removed from that structure, don't be afraid. Sometimes renovation looks like destruction before it looks like improvement. The August 12th eclipse energy can symbolize exactly this kind of turning point, releasing outdated patterns so that a new direction can emerge. So if August 14th brings a difficult realization, don't immediately label it as bad news. It may be information. If someone disappoints you, don't immediately assume your world is falling apart. You may simply have learned something important. If an opportunity scares you, don't assume you're unprepared. You may simply be standing at the edge of growth. If a relationship changes, don't automatically assume you've lost. You may have discovered what you truly need. And if you feel exhausted, don't call yourself weak. You may simply have carried too much for too long. Capricorn, your next chapter doesn't require you to become someone completely different. It requires you to become more honest about who you already are. You are ambitious. You are capable. You are disciplined. But you are also human. You have emotions. You have fears. You have dreams that don't fit neatly into a 5-year plan. And those dreams deserve space too. So on August 14th, don't only ask, what should I accomplish? Ask, what kind of life do I want to wake up inside? That question may lead you somewhere your old plans never could. And perhaps the most important thing you'll realize is this. You don't need to prove that you can carry everything. You need to decide what is actually worth carrying. Leave behind the burden that isn't yours. Keep the lesson. Keep the wisdom. Keep the ambition. Keep the people who genuinely love you. And take the next step. Not because you know exactly where the road ends, but because you finally understand why you are walking it. Capricorn, August 14th may not give you every answer, but it can give you something more valuable. Clarity about the next move. And sometimes one clear step is enough to change an entire future. The mountain ahead may still be high, but look back for a moment. You have already climbed farther than the person you used to be ever imagined. Now it's time to stop measuring your strength by how much weight you can carry. Measure it by how wisely you choose what deserves your strength. Because Capricorn, your next chapter isn't asking you to work harder. It is asking you to build smarter, love more honestly, protect your peace, and finally create a future that feels as good on the inside as it looks from the outside.